Well, g'day Year 10. So here's the second little video about Pythagoras. This time we're going to find one of the short sides using Pythagoras. So in the last video last time we had a right angled triangle and we tried to find this, the longer side. This time we're going to find one of either of these two shorter sides. Okay. Now if you remember, we used to add a squared and b squared to give us h squared. So this time you're going to see instead of adding, we are going to subtract. And one of the good things to remember is when you're finding a short side, it's a good idea to subtract. All right, so let's have a look at this first problem. We're going to find the length of the short side if one of the short sides is 4 and the hypotenuse is 10. So let's just draw a wee figure of this. So here we go. Here's my triangle. I've got a hypotenuse of 10 and I've got a short side of 4 and I'm looking for this one here. Okay, well, first of all, if you have a look, I filled in my Pythagoras' theorem, but I filled in with a few different sides. So here's my a squared, here's my b squared, and here is my h squared. And you can see that I filled in my a squared and my h squared into this formula. Now the next job is to work out what those square numbers are. So we know that 4 squared is 16 and we know that 10 squared is 100. And this time we've got to solve for b. So if you have a look in this equation, we have the 16 on the same side as the b squared. So we're going to have to do something about that. So the obvious thing is to subtract. So there I go. B squared is 100 minus 16. And if you solve that, that makes b squared 84. And you know to root both sides. And so there's my answer. So this side here is 9.17 long. Now you know that's likely to be correct because it's shorter than the hypotenuse. If I got longer, I must have made a mistake somewhere and I'll have to go and check that. Here's the second problem. So let's have a go at this one. Okay, again, I'm going to draw myself a little picture. Okay, and I've got 10 as the hypotenuse and I've got 7 and I'm looking for this side here. Okay, doesn't matter which of the two short sides, doesn't matter at all. Okay, so I filled in my formula. So my a squared plus b squared equals h squared. So I've put in the information. There's my hypotenuse is 10 squared. My other short side is 7 squared. I've worked out what those numbers are again. And then I've solved for a and found that a is actually the number, or sorry, I should say, terrible me, a squared is 51. So the final thing you do with anything to do with Pythagoras is you always root your answer. Okay, so there we go. We know that this side here is going to be 7.14 long. Okay, so let's have a think about this problem. Find the length of the missing side if a is 4 and h is 5. So the first deal here is you do need to draw yourself a picture. This time I'm going to do mine upside down just for fun. All right, now I know that h is 5, that's the hypotenuse, which is opposite the right angle. And then I'm going to label one of the other sides 4. And then I'm looking for this side here. So using Pythagoras, I'm going to say a squared plus b squared equals h squared. Now before I go any further, I'm going to think about a few of the answers over on this side. My hypotenuse is 5, so my short side must be smaller. So there are two answers that just won't work. So you can probably come over here and say, well, no way can it be 9. And no way can it be 6.4 because it's got to be smaller than that longer side. A short side means it's shorter than the hypotenuse. So I've got two answers I'm going to have to choose from. Okay, let's go back to the problem. I've got a squared plus b squared equals h squared. So let's fill in the information. My h is 5, so that's 5 squared. I've been told that a is 4, so that's 4 squared plus b squared. So now I've got b squared plus 16 equals 25, which means b squared is equal to 25 minus 16. Going to have to do some working over there. Sorry, didn't leave myself enough room. okay? Which means b squared is equal to the number 9. Now, that's not too hard to square root. That tells me that b is going to be the number 3. So this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. It's a bit of a special one. If you notice all the numbers are whole, when that happens, when all the numbers are whole, it's known as a Pythagorean triple, which is pretty special.